My name is Beau. I am from Carnegie Mellon University in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And I am the university's multimedia social media producer, which I know sounds a little bit redundant. But basically it means I am the content producer and manager for our central marketing team there. This morning I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how to engage your leadership and staff with social media. But the thing is I'm going to take a step away from analytics and numbers a little bit this morning, right? We talk about that a lot this week. I'm just going to fold those up and put them over in the corner here for a second because I'm going to talk a little bit about relationship building. I'm going to start with a question. Who here has been asked to create a social account for one of your leaders, whether it's president, provost, deans? Yep. Now, how many of you have to run those accounts? How's your blood pressure? This is something we get asked to do a lot, right? How many of your leaders run their own accounts? Do they do well? Not all the time. Some of the time. Everybody's different. Every situation is going to be different. With social media, it is by design a platform to give information out to the world, but it's also a platform for self-expression. And we have a tough time figuring out just how to express ourselves online, right? We have individual accounts on different platforms, and we showcase ourselves in different ways, professionally, informally, etc. And we kind of have to learn how to balance that with our leaders and professors and everything else, right? They need a professional presence, but also maybe they want to have a better connection with students. And we need to figure out how to do that. Giving our leaders a voice on social and helping them engage is a really tall order. In order to explain kind of how I work with my president, our deans, our staff and faculty online, I kind of have to tell you a little bit about myself and also our university because it's all a part of the discovery process. Like I said, my name is Beau Lyon. This lovely image of me I took as a joke for my business profile at work, but they decided to use it. And I'm cool with that. I do spend all day on my phone, so it's there. And the reason I'm cool with it is because I'm comfortable with it, right? I'm comfortable with that being my presence, that's what people see when they go to my business profile on the website. I trusted our photography team to put that up because I was comfortable with it, and that's what we're going to be talking about a lot with leadership today. Before I was a social media producer at CMU, I did a lot of other things before getting there. I've been a news photographer, I've been a TV producer, I've been an indie filmmaker, not hugely successful in that area, but been there. I've been an occasional actor from time to time, and for some reason they let me teach college students. I'm still not quite sure. But one of these things in this whole list has informed everything I do and how I build relationships with people and how I get them to build their own confidence and their own trust in what I have to sell to them, essentially. And that's been my time as an actor. There is this unspoken rule in acting that is very, very important if you ever want to get up and present to people or put yourself out there in any capacity. And that's never be afraid to make a fool of yourself. It's a really easy rule to forget, but that whole rule is just about pushing past your insecurities and taking risks, right? And you have to be okay with making some mistakes or not quite looking great, trying things out in order to get anywhere. So what does this have to do with engaging leadership? Well, in order to get to a place where our leaders or staff, whoever, are comfortable and confident and trust us, is by doing a few simple steps, and that starts with building their excitement. What excites your leaders? It's funny, these steps that we're going to go through, you're going to see how incredibly similar they are to what you're doing to engage your audiences online. In meet space, dealing with us one-on-one as individuals. But you are building your leaders' excitement. What excites them? What interests them about their research, about the university, about the student body, about what they're doing? Building their excitement and getting them excited about finding what excites them, which I'll get into more examples, is going to help us showcase them in the best way on the right platforms. And ultimately, it's going to end up building their confidence. That confidence is going to eventually lead to building their trust. Now, confidence and trust may seem like the same thing. They're not. You may have start to get confidence from your staff and leaders that like, oh, okay, they know what they're doing, and it's like, well, I have confidence they got it, but then at the last minute, change their mind. Has anybody ever had that happen before, where they start to get confidence and then, no? I've had that happen. We have people that have had confidence that they were like, yeah, no, we get it. Like, you understand. And then at the last minute, just be like, no, I don't feel comfortable with this. And it's like, okay, that's fine. Because that full trust wasn't there yet. And the whole point is to get to that full trust, that place where a person feels so comfortable with what you have to bring to the table that they're like, yeah, and they take a step back. And there's less of them trying to tell you, well, I really think we should do it this way. Even though you and I know, how to make it happen. Who here's heard of Randy Pausch before in the last lecture? A number of you, not all of you. Randy, the last lecture was given by one of our professors back in 2008. Randy was an amazing person. And his last lecture, we put it online back in, I think, 2007 or 8, right at the beginning of YouTube. It's one of the early viral videos that went up. And it still to this day is our most engaged video or most viewed video online on YouTube by far, with almost 20 million, I think, views at this point. And I still get comments and views every month on it. It's crazy. Just on a simple, at this point, standard definition video that's still up, because his last lecture was really meaningful to a lot of people. Randy, unfortunately, he passed away in 2008. He had pancreatic cancer, but he wanted to give this kind of final lecture to talk about numerous things. If you have to give a final lecture in life, if you have to give people some last stage wisdom, what's it going to be? And it was about the importance of achieving your childhood dreams. And at one point during this, Randy had talked about trying to get over over the fact that he could never be an astronaut because of his bad eyesight, which I know very well. And eventually, over time, he figured out a way through that. And he had said by the end of this, like, if you can find an opening, you'll probably find a way to float through it. Which I bring this up because, when there's an opening for us to engage our leaders, like, we can make a lot of things possible. We just have to figure out what that opening is. We have to figure out, like, what are they engaged by? What are they excited by? And sometimes it is the most bizarre thing possible. But you have to be paying attention and learning about them. We're going to take a look at a lot of those examples today. These are some of our leaders that are up here, and I'll be breaking some of these down. But a lot of them didn't really have a social presence when I started. I've only been with CMU a little over a year. But since then, we've gotten a lot more of them engaging on social. Some of them had Twitter accounts that are active, and they do put things out and things like that. But some of them didn't. Our president, it was his first year. I started at CMU, and he was inaugurated as our president, and we launched his Instagram account during that, which I'm going to show you how we worked with him on that. Let me tell you a little bit about CMU and how I got to a place where our president and faculty were like feeling comfortable with what we were doing. So who here has heard of us? Good. I'm always happy to know that. Every once in a while I get people, where's Carnegie Mellon? They're like, oh, we're in Pittsburgh. We've been around since 1900. Started by the great steel baron, Andrew Carnegie. We have a saying at CMU. It's that's so CMU. There's a reason that we say that. We're sort of a unique college. We're not a big football school or athletics college. We don't have sometimes as strong or giant of a name recognition for those things, but we do have a very fun and intelligent and quirky culture. One of the things I love about this college and all of our leaders and our students and our staff is they are fun. They're super intelligent, but they're incredibly fun people to be around. We have a ton of engineers and scientists and artists that do, we are a very interdisciplinary school. So we get our engineers and our artists and our performers together all the time, and they are coming up with amazing, weird things like putting on like performance art in a limestone mine somewhere in Pennsylvania. We have this fence in the middle of campus that students paint on a regular basis. It's like their sounding board. They paint it overnight, and it just will have like a new thing in the morning, and we're always just a little bit terrified of what it might be, but they're really cool about it. That's been going on since like the beginning. We have our own sport, buggy races. It's literally a missile-shaped tube that's very small that we put tiny students inside head first, that they steer from inside, and they just rocket down a hill. It's terrifying, but the students love it. That's been going on. We are literally celebrating 100 years of doing that this year. And our engineers all our engineering students get together for that. We have a great Scottish legacy with Andrew Carnegie, with all of our pipes and drums and so forth. My favorite thing is the fact that our school color is a fabric pattern. Our first class of CMU, or of Carnegie Tech, chose tartan as our school color to celebrate Andrew Carnegie's heritage. So, like I said, we're sort of an interesting and fun bunch. We have a very quirky culture. We have a fun culture on campus. And that translates to our staff and leadership as well. This is our president, Dr. Farnum Jahanian. He was inaugurated this past year in 2018. And prior to being president, he was actually provost on campus. So he was dealing a lot with students on a regular basis. And President Jahanian, like, he has a great presence on campus. Like, he's got this great smile on his face. He loves talking with students because, again, he was provost prior to this position, so he likes engaging with students when he can. But once he became president, like, obviously his schedule was going to get a lot busier. He's got a lot of different things going on. He can't engage with students as much as he used to or he would like to. And that was one of the things when we were first looking about getting him engaging online was like how we tried to we wanted to find out what was important to him, what excited him. And what was important to him was keeping those relationships with the students. Like, yeah, we wanted to get out the important things, our important news, like, what new building was opening, what he was, whenever he was talking at a big event. Like, we were going to get all of those things out. All of those things were still important. But we also found out that it was really important to him to connect to students still. And so that sort of informed some of the things that we started to do. We engaged him to find out what he wanted, and we found out what excited him. That brought us to something really interesting. So right before his inauguration, our design team had come up with this funky idea, and we didn't know if he was going to go with it at first. And it stems from something. Everybody remember this? Prior to our use of emojis in the world. The emoticon, or this one being one of the first, that's Smiley. Anybody want to take a swing as to where the first emoticon came from? It's from us, from CMU. It's like one of my favorite things as a social media professional is the fact that, like, on hashtag World Emoji Day, I have this in my back pocket, and that is something that, like, it makes us so happy, like, all the time. Like, yeah, like, emoticon came from CMU. Farnum Jahanian was a computer scientist himself, so, like, something like this, like, he enjoys that kind of history, and it is kind of a unique history on our campus. And our design team was thinking about, this, like, little tidbit of history, the fact that Jahanian is a computer scientist and so forth, and looking at his presence and the way he interacts on campus, and it kind of gave them a little bit of an idea that we could use whenever we showcased him during the inauguration. I present the Farnum Emoji. They turned him into an emoji. This seemed really silly at first. I wasn't super sure how he was going to take to it. Because it could have went two different ways. I mean, it could have went the way he could have just easily said to us, guys, no, this, like, is not what I want to put out there. This is not me. And, like, that would have been okay. But it turned out he was tickled by it. Like, he legitimately, like, it made him smile. Like, he thought it was great. And he was really comfortable with us putting it out, or at least attempting putting it out, which we were so excited about. And as it turned out, everybody else liked it too. Our student body loved it. It connected to them in this way that I was so happy to see, because Like there at his inauguration, we had a cutout of him there too, because at the same time we launched his Instagram account. We used it as a chance to launch his Instagram account, and we had people like starting to follow him right from the get-go. And Farnum Emoji, we had it on T-shirts. Those went instantly. I still get requests for them from students that are like, when are you going to print out more of those like Farnum Emoji T-shirts, which is weird. He loves it still. This is, again, that fence I was talking about earlier. During our yearly carnival that we have on campus, students had painted his face, the Farnum Emoji, like on the fence. And on his Instagram, he was able to like put up who's responsible for this. I want to know. But it was such a fun way to engage with students right off the bat that like we didn't know if he was going to take to it, but we're so glad that he did. But it made sense after the fact when we looked at it, like, yeah, like really, given his personality and what he's interested in and care about, like it makes sense that like he would be connected to this. When we got around to like April Fool's Day, he had heard that some of the students were calling the yearly Farnival that year. Because of the fact that it was like, it was his inauguration like that year, and that's all we were talking about. And so, like, he had this like laser etch thing made up that's saying on April Fool's, saying that like, hey, Carnival's now called Farnival from here on out. And that one came from, we told him that students were saying that, because I keep tabs on like what students are saying, obviously, all the time. And, you know, he thought it was funny, so we put it up. And then you got a bunch of comments of people being like, we're so for this. Like, April Fool's aside, can this actually be a thing? Please make this happen. And he loved that. Like, he loved that students were enjoying it. And so that was just a way for him to connect and get involved, like in a different way. The other thing like we dived into too was like these feature Fridays that we would put up like on his social account. So like we still like on his Instagram, like we'll still do like some professional things here and there, like ribbon cutting, stuff like that. Like we have those things on there because those are also important to him. But like when we talk about like, again, what he really cared about was engaging students, like let's get him out. Like when he can get out and about, like let's have him, he likes to sit down and talk to students and like find out what they're doing and what they're interested in. And so he started doing these Follow Fridays where he could take pictures with the students and then kind of do a little recap of like who they were and like highlight them. Not himself, but like highlighting what they were doing and accomplishing. And he did that all year long, and eventually it led to him wanting to do a full selfie with the graduating class at the end of the year. So yes, we had to run out and find a selfie stick because we did not have one for whatever reason. Yeah, so it's just one of those things where finding out what excited him and building up his confidence, in us is what got us to that place. The other thing is, building confidence, it empowers people's creativity. Like once they're confident in what you're doing or confident in what, like your results that you're getting from a particular thing or confident that you actually care about what they care about, it's going to empower them to try things out, which is how we got to places like the Farnum Emoji or places like the Follow Fridays and stuff like that. But that's also taken us to some other places. The next examples I'm going to show you, they are the most extreme like of the situation of what I've been talking about, but they're kind of they are some of my favorites in terms of getting people getting our leaders to be creative. And we have some of our deans get together every year to do like a fundraising event for the Special Olympics of PA, where they, it's just one of those simple dunk tank situations, right? The deans get together, they let students throw balls, they raise money that way. So every year they like to promote that and at least say, like, try to get people to come out and make sure they're helping to raise money. Well, how do we do that? Well, could have done it in a simple way on social of just having them, like, we were originally just, going to have some, like, real quick 15-second or 10-second snippets of them saying, hey, come on out and join us and throw a ball and get us doused with water. That was the sort of easy way to do it. But then we had a dean that he was seeing the kind of things we had been doing online the past year and these things, and we went to go do his video, and he said something that surprised me, which was, we deans, we kind of like to talk smack at each other around this event. I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's like, we just kind of like to rib each other through emails, like saying, like, I'm going to raise more this year than you, et cetera, and doing this and that. And then they keep it like a friendly competition between each other. And he's like, in my video, can I poke fun at the other deans a little bit? He's the first one that we were filming. And I said, yes. Let's see where this goes. I already had a backup. Like, I had him still say everything we wanted him to say. Like, so if this went completely off the rails, like, I had something to work with. But I was like, let him play. I just want to let him play and see how it pans out. And it led to this.
Well, this is one of the most important competitions across schools of the year. And I'm a little concerned, to be honest. But I've been analyzing the deans, and I notice I think there may be a weakness in Keith, the dean of the library school. He has the most dry sense of humor, and I'm not sure he can handle the wet. I'm looking at Rebecca, the dean of the Mellon College of Science. They historically have had special knowledge of liquid behavior, but I think here we're getting back to the H2O basics, and they might be misled by the simplicity of the liquids here. The other opening I see is with CIT. John Kagan is the new kid on the block in terms of deans, and you really have to immerse yourself, and I think he might just be out of his depth. Well, we've had a good time preparing for this event.
That last little bit there that I cut off, like that is like the message that we initially had planned out. We still got that in there, but I was just like, we put that out. Before I could get to the other deans, we had filmed that, and I saw what he had done and how he had approached it. And when I went to the other deans and I said, hey, do you know that Tom was saying this about you in this video? And they were like, what? And suddenly their ears just perked up, and they were like, well, I have some things I want to say. We had just got them to this place, not all of them are like that. Like, not a lot of them are okay with, like, having that sort of, like, protect. But all of a sudden, like, given the cause and what was going on and connecting with the students, they were like, oh, I want to play around. I'm not going to show you all of these, obviously, but I am going to show you, like, what, like, there was a video we put out at the end that was, like, a collection of all of them, just so you can see how they all ended up getting their, like, personalities out there, because it was great.
This is one of the most important competitions across schools of the year. You really have to immerse yourself in preparing for this event.
I really do worry about the senseless rivalry that pits one college against another.
We're going to win, first of all. And second of all, they're just afraid. I mean, 2 of them are afraid of water. I know, Big, I agree completely, too. They're all just babies, yeah. And they pick on me because they're jealous. Shyness, he's afraid of unicorns.
My colleagues all think I'm the new guy. They don't understand. We're going to stay number one.
I understood it when we could all line up to soak Jim Garrett. And you know, he only became provost so that he could retire undefeated.
That last person was our provost. Thank you. That last gentleman laughing was our provost. He used to be a dean, and what we found out was he still he holds that trophy so close because he's held the record for and he would not relinquish it, and he was so upset when he couldn't participate in Duncan this year because he was now provost, but they figured out a way to do it. This is a whole thing. It was great. So having all those put together, we were able to put out this series of really fun videos with each of them, showed their personality off, and they had more fun with it than they normally get to have. That one dean up there, Rebecca, who with her sweet dog, Mr. Biggs, she's one that has she's a person that has total confidence in her team on campus with her social person. She has an outgoing personality, which is great already and makes that a lot easier. But she utilizes her dog on the Instagram account all the time, things like that, which is fun. But all of this, helping them get creative, get comfortable, that just leads to them. They saw those videos after we put them out, and they were like, "That was so much fun. That was great. It was such a change of pace." And then when we had to put out something for them again, they had confidence in us that we knew what we were doing. If we had to present something more serious, like their research and things like that, they already knew we could do that and we could find a way to make it happen. And I've done that in different ways. If it's research-based stuff, we have a teacher who she teaches a banned books class. And it was Banned Books Week coming up, and she had a big talk happening. And we could have simply just put out a thing saying this banned books talk was happening. But instead, I went on Instagram stories and started asking the community, "Hey, what questions do you have about banned books and censorship?" And people started sending us questions in Instagram stories. And then I brought her in to just start answering those questions via Instagram stories. And it was great. It got people out to her talk. It got students engaged. And it was kind of a different, engaging way to do that. All of it is about building trust. That, again, is our Dean of Sciences, Rebecca, riding a scooter around a flaming tuba. Welcome to CMU. I would love to say that this isn't a common occurrence on our campus, but she has trust. That was put out by her on their Instagram account. She loves doing stuff like that, which is great. Trust is our goal, right? It's what ultimately makes everything else work. We got there through we got to engage people through exciting them, finding out what excited them. Through that excitement, it helped empower them. It empowered their creativity, built their confidence up. And in the end, they were able to embrace the kind of things that we wanted to bring to them, the kind of different ideas, because they trusted us. And that takes time. It's not going to be the same for everybody. It's not going to be overnight. And it's going to take it's going to take a process to get there. And that's it's just about being persistent and trying to find that hole to swim through, is what that's all about in the end. You have to start somewhere. Thank you.